Hey there, and welcome to the Unleash Your Greatness Within podcast. I'm TJ Hoisington, and let me first say how thankful I am that you're a part of my community. Really, I mean that. And I apologize that for the past couple weeks, I have not put up a podcast episode. I've been on the road with my family. My second son, Connor, returned home from a 2-year mission for our church, where he served in Serbia and Croatia for 2 solid years. And so for our little family, we've all been put back together. The whole family hasn't been together for 4 years because my oldest son was on his mission and they overlapped their missions. And wow, it's just great. Now they're off at college and we still have the 2 girls at home. Life is good. I hope you're doing fine with the whole coronavirus. Like I said several months ago, let's not become too extreme about this. Let's protect ourselves and be smart, but we got to keep things moving in this world, and that's what this message is about, and it's about hard work. And let me also just say quickly that for the first time ever, I'm doing something really special, and there's a link here on this podcast. You should be able to find it on your mobile device or whatever else. There should be a link underneath the description. I am giving away copies of If You Think You Can. Yes, my best-selling book, If You Think You Can, for free. Literally for free. And I want to be totally real with you. And that is this. I'm going to give you a signed copy of a physical book. We're actually going to put it in the mail and send it to you. And I'm going to give you immediate access to over $200 worth of high-performance training, starting with the Power to Shape Your Life program. I'm going to give you that absolutely as part of you just getting the book. And by the way, all I'm asking you to do is cover the shipping and handling fee, which is only $7 in the U.S. Only $7 in the U.S., and I think it's $35 internationally. But here's what we're doing. We're going to give you a physical copy of the book signed. We're also going to give you $200 worth online instant training on how to elevate your life. And so part of that is the Power to Shape Your Life. The other part of that is achieving a successful life. And then the other part will be that you get is my 5 Ds of success that has a video and a download. So, hey, take advantage of it. I'm just saying, click the link. There's more information on the link. And hey, I just say, while supplies last, take advantage of it and use it to your advantage and share it with your friends and so forth. So anyway, that's that. So here's why I did the podcast today is I thought, what could I share with you that would be meaningful? And then I happened to turn on Fox Business and Neil Cavuto had a guest on. Let me see. His name is David Rubenstein, who is the Carlyle Group founder. And it says here on the screen right now, I took a little screenshot of it. It says, when people say you can't do something, they are probably wrong. Oh, man, I've been preaching that for 20-something plus years. Don't tell me what can't be done. Tell me what can be done. It's possible. In fact, on the back side of the book, really bold at the top, it says it's possible. And I only know that because of my own background and the difficulty. Oh, I'm telling you, I wasn't born into a family with a silver spoon in my mouth. And it was a big family, and financially things were tight. But I figured out a way on how to get around the right people, how to learn from the right books, how to focus on the right things. And eventually, with a lot of hard work, I was able to make my dreams a reality. And that's my message for you today. So here you have David Rubenstein. I'm actually going to, hopefully it's okay with Fox News, I am actually going to play the audio that I heard when Neil Cavuto was interviewing David Rubenstein, who is coming out with a new book. And so here, let's just jump into it right now. Here, check it out.
All right, forget about the polls where they are now. Who is working harder to close the deal and get the job? Either Donald Trump, who wants to be reelected president, or Joe Biden, who wants to be president. Both have to work hard to get the job. David Rubenstein, who has a great new book of how to lead, in which he chronicles some of the most successful people in the world. And a common theme among them is the hard worker gets the spoils. It's good to have luck going your way, good to have talent, but working hard, that's crucial. David Rubenstein with me earlier today on Fox Business.
I think there are a couple of criteria that are very important. Hard work is one, luck is another, focus is another, persistence is another, integrity is important as well, rising to the occasion. But on hard work, I don't think anybody ever won a Nobel Prize working 5 days a week, 9 to 5. If you want to do something significant with your life and really make a real mark in the world, I think you have to work a little bit longer than 9 to 5, 5 days a week. That doesn't mean you can't do other outside activities, but you have to really work hard. And hard work is, in the end, that's going to pay off more than anything else. You make your own luck by working hard.
So let me be clear, David, then, if I wanted to work less than 9 to 5, since you didn't stipulate that, would that get in the way of success?
I think if you work less than 9 to 5, 5 days a week, you might have a very enjoyable life. You might play a lot of golf and tennis, but I don't think you're likely to make a big mark on the world. Now, there's obviously some people that would disagree, and some people have written one book. That's all they've ever done, and it had a big mark on the world. But as a general rule of thumb, I think working harder is better than not working hard. I don't think you have to be brilliant. I don't think you have to be creative. I think you have to be reasonably intelligent, but working hard is very important. But again, there are other criteria. I think focus is important. You can't try to do 1,000 things at once. You got to focus on one or two things. You also have to know how to communicate with people. You can't lead people if you don't have followers. You have to learn how to communicate with them by good writing or by good oral communication or by leading by example. The most effective thing is leading by example. So if you want to be a leader, and not everybody wants to be a leader, but if you want to be a leader, I've tried to outline what some of the most famous leaders in our country have done. They didn't do things perfectly. They'd all say they made mistakes, but most of them would say they had some luck, they worked hard, they had persistence, and they overcame a lot of obstacles in their youth.
You know, one thing that's interesting, too, in a lot of your conversations, that some of them, it's not about themselves. They've become very, very successful at what they do, but they readily share the credit with other people. And that is not among everyone you profile, but certainly most. What did you make of that?
Yes, Ronald Reagan famously said, there's no limit to what humans can accomplish if they're willing to share the credit, and that's certainly true. So to me, the most important thing if you're a leader is trying not to convince everybody that you're the superstar and you're making all the decisions. You got to convince them that they are helping you, and if they follow you, they'll be better off. And that's a key to leadership. But I do think that sharing the credit is very important. As President Kennedy said, victory has 1,000 fathers and defeat is an orphan. Right. So there's no doubt that everybody likes to take credit for things. But in the end, when things don't work out, people are looking around on their shoes and they're kind of pointing fingers elsewhere. That's not the mark of a real leader. When President Kennedy made the mistake of Bay of Pigs, he went on television and said, I made a mistake. I bear the responsibility. And his popularity went up.
No, I think you're right. We try to tell our kids the same thing. But you know what I found fascinating, David, in looking at some of these people is they overcame, enormous doubters, naysayers. Jeff Bezos was literally laughed at. Some of the ideas that were, imparted by President Clinton early on, that you could be a sort of a moderate Democrat and swing and entice more people into the party. That was dismissed, pretty readily here. But they had the courage of their convictions of all stripes. Even George W. Bush profiling him, and how he was dismissed, and almost he relished the dismissiveness. And I'm wondering if there are lessons for all of us here.
Well, yes. John Kenneth Galbraith, the famous economist, once said, the conventional wisdom is almost always wrong. And he's right, because when people say you can't do something, in the end, they're probably wrong. And somebody who comes along and does what Jeff Bezos did or Bill Gates did or Steve Jobs did proves that you can overcome conventional wisdom. And that's what really marks a great leader, overcoming conventional wisdom and persisting. If people tell you no, 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 you should be more inspired to go ahead and try to do it. Not everything will work that way, but generally the people I've written about and other leaders are people that overcame people who said they couldn't do what they wanted to do.
How did they get to the point of still working so hard? I could ask the same of you, David. When you netted your first $1 billion, you could have just said, I'm done. I could kind of slow down, but you haven't, you didn't. And I'm thinking the same about Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Tim Cook, where you could argue with the success. Look at Tim Cook of late, post your book coming out. His wealth has gone up, fivefold. Jeff Bezos, now the $200 billion plus man. But that doesn't, I'm not saying it's unimportant to them, but it does not take the fire out of their belly.
Well, the implication of the question is work is not as much fun as not work. But actually, for people who really are driven, work is the most pleasurable thing they can do. The trick is to make sure they have some time to do something else, because you want a more balanced life. But I think Jeff Bezos loves what he's doing. Bill Gates loves what he's doing. Steve Jobs loved what he was doing. And so I love what I'm doing. So I don't really want to just play golf or play tennis, neither of which I'm very good at. I want to do something that I think is making a contribution. And I would say that those people who build great companies think that they're making a contribution to the world, and I think they probably are. So it's not just in your own career, for example. You work very hard, and do you think that this is work or is it pleasure? You enjoy doing it. If you enjoy doing it, it's not work, it's pleasure.
Then again, I just found out the other anchors at Fox are paid, David. That's something else I'm looking into here. But let me ask you, one thing, and I don't want to sound fawning, but I'm going to sound fawning because I'm a great admirer of yours. I like the way you can criticize yourself. I think, my dad used to say that if you can't laugh at yourself, you're going to miss the fun others are having doing it for you. But I think in your case, even joking about your financial acumen is never in doubt. Yet you were among those saying, Carlyle invested in this up-and-coming company, Amazon. As soon as it went public, it cashed out. Or I think it was soon after it went public.
Right. And
you got whatever it was. I think, what was it, about $80 million. That same $80 million might be worth, $4 billion today. But I thought that was a very humanizing moment to say, woulda, shoulda, coulda, even you.
There's some people that never look back, and there's some people that always look back. And I guess maybe for whatever reason, I always look back and say, these are the mistakes I made. I should have done something better. Maybe it's not an endearing quality, but I can't resist it. In some cases, it's easy to say, I never made a mistake, but I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think people should look back and be honest about the mistakes they made so you can learn from those mistakes. And believe me, I made many of them, in addition to passing on Facebook. When my daughter was at Harvard and she met a young man that she's now married to, I heard about Facebook and I said, this is never going anywhere. And that was a mistake.
All right, what do you think? Is that not a true principle? Here's one thing I'm noticing about the world today with a lot of the politics and the back and forth and the rioting and everything else. Listen, some things were once said to be good are now bad, and what is bad is now seen to be good. It's such an illusion. It's a spin. Here's one thing I know, is that you can always depend on true principles. And what David Rubenstein said right here is absolutely right. Hard work is probably the number one denominator for why someone is successful. Yes, there are outliers. Yes, there are extreme examples of people that were able to turn things overnight. I mean, If You Think You Can is almost that way. I wrote the book in the backseat of my car, and then 2 months later when it was published, it instantly became an international bestseller. That doesn't normally happen. My other books didn't do that, but I will tell you what, it was the right time. There were certain things that were in place, and those principles are still true today, and now that book is in its 15th printing, and you're going to get a copy of that if you take advantage of it. But let me just say, Mr. Rubenstein, or Rubenstein, I'm not exactly sure how to say his name, I tell you, he has the principles down. It's these fundamental principles that he just mentioned that will make the difference in your life. So with all the noise that is going on out there, and you're wondering about the future and you're worried, hey, the best thing you could do right now is go to work. Go to work, be busy, put a plan together, go to work, believe that it's possible, and keep working, get around the right people, make a difference in your life. And I love what he says. Hey, if you want to golf every day, that's fine. You'll probably have an enjoyable life if you're able to do that. But if you want to make an impact in the world, you're going to have to work some long hours. And I will tell you, I work a lot of long hours. Now, I don't have to, but I do. Why? Because I love what I do. I'm living my passion for now 23 years. I've been living my passion to do what I do, which is to inspire people to study high performance principles and then to articulate them in such a way that people can take the information and elevate their lives. And I've been fortunate to do it for a lot of years. So I just thought I would share that interview with you. I hope it was valuable and worth your time. Thank you again for being a part of the Unleash Your Greatness Within community. Listen, believe in yourself. And also, just as a reminder, as I'm coaching a lot of executives right now, separate your achievements from who you are. You are not what you do. How many times do I have to say that? I'm sure I've said it on other podcast episodes before. You're not what you do. Whether you do good or bad, you perform well or poorly, you still are a person of worth. And here's what I see with a lot of people. They seek perfection in themselves to the point that now that is how they define their worth, by how well they perform. And I'm telling you, yes, perform well. I'm telling you, burn the midnight oil and give that extra effort so that you develop your skills and so forth. But don't attach your self-worth to whichever party wins the White House. Don't put your self-worth in a place of what your friends think about you or your dreams, right? Don't let these things limit you. Know that you are innately good, that you have individual worth. Spiritually, that you are a child of God, and that you don't have to prove your worth to anybody. Now, in the marketplace, yeah, you kind of do have to prove your worth, that you're bringing value to the company. But innately, as a human being, you don't need to do that. But hey, just as this message says, go to work, be happy, go the extra mile, do those fundamental things, and you know what? You're bound, right? You reap what you sow, you're bound to succeed. Okay, I know that was kind of random for you, and I normally have a better plan. I have no notes in front of me, so I'm kind of just going off the cuff, but I hope it's real enough for you that you can take the information, apply it as a reminder in your life. Remember to focus on the positive. Don't buy into all the negative that's out there. Stay on top of your world. Take care of your family. Be a good example to your children if you have any, and be a leader for the community in any way that you can. All right? By and large, the world is good. By and large, people are good. You know what we need today is more listening. We don't even get conversations today. All we do is both sides attack each other. Here's what we need to do. We need to listen. We need to think about what the other person is saying, try to see it from their vantage point. And then it doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but you can acknowledge it. You can say, I can see where you would, why you would think that way. Anyway, I know I've gone long here. Make it a great day. I wish you the very best. Now go out there and unleash your greatness within. Oh, by the way, hey, do me a favor. Hey, leave a review on this podcast, would you? At least give me a thumbs up or something on the podcast or this episode. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, make it a great one. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
GreatnessWithin.com